It's that time when every decision, every possession, and every game start to define you and send your team down a certain path.
Curry way downtown. Bang!
Or miss. Coming together or falling apart. Now or not yet. The pressure of this time can break you, but it also builds champions. So is it going to be your time or someone else's? It's time to decide.
Hello and welcome to the next video of the JDN series, MyNBA World. Now we have the first round matchups. We are starting with the Hornets and the Hawks. The 46-win Hawks going up against the Charlotte Hornets team. LaMelo is back. He came back from a left shoulder injury. He starts off a little rough. You can see he has that arm sleeve on him. But look at that shot. Going and falling down and still hits it. Then Trae Young goes one-on-one and hits it deep out. And look at Will O'Neal just demolishing DeJounte Murray on that foul attempt. No way that's not going to get called. And look at Kadon. His head looked like it was way over the rim on that there. Now we move over to Atlanta. Quickly, I will say Will O'Neal struggled this series. 9.8 points a game with 6.8 rebounds. Nice little spin move mid-range by Kadon Ryan. DeAndre Hunter averaged around 20 points a game this series, surprisingly. DeJounte Murray, a little switch hand. Will O'Neal does not even contest it. And he's out there guarding Clint Capella. That's not really a threat on the mid-range three-point line, so I don't know why he was guarding him so out there. Trae Young out there is draining threes over LaMelo. And look at that alley-oop. LaMelo getting double-teamed, and Will O'Neal doesn't dunk it, but he does lay it in. And Trae Young again banks it in, and it toilet bowls in. In Game 5, the Hornets were up 3-1 against this Hawks team in Charlotte. And Will O'Neal gets that 2-point basket to go. Kadon to Kyle Kuzma, who averaged 14 points in the series, hits the mid-range J. Trae Young hits the mid-range over Will O'Neal. Will O'Neal was not that much of a defensive threat this series and definitely was not offensive. The skills of Clint Capella was too much on the defensive end. Clint Capella just stopped Will O'Neal. With Will O'Neal's limited arsenal so far in his rookie year, he just could not score. And Trae Young gets a classic performance, 43 points in 33 minutes, and he is talking trash. The Hawks are only down 3-2 in the series, looking to come back 3-1 in Game 6 in Atlanta. In the A, can Trae Young pull it out? And look at LaMelo starting the game with a nice little double pump, little pump dunk. Fouling, gets fouled hard, gotta dap up Kadon Ryan. He's hype, trying to get in their head. Trae Young saying, let's calm down. And look at that, Trae Young, you can't leave him open. Buckets, you gotta get him in transition. Some would say just like Steph Curry, you gotta know where he's at on the floor at all times. LaMelo, he did start the season off a little rough, coming back from that injury, but to the end of the series, he really got his stride. But once again, Trae Young cannot stop hitting threes over LaMelo. This tied up 124-124 with less than 10 seconds left. Hornets ball and passes it to Keegan Murray. Alley-oop with less than 2 seconds left, and Clint Capella is no good, and the Hornets move on. Keegan Murray and LaMelo, as we see walk off the court, win them the series. And as you could tell, Trae Young was balling on the Hornets all season and series. Most points under 35 minutes, but they get knocked out. LaMelo, 22.9 points a game and 12 assists per game, coming back from the left shoulder injury, was definitely the leader of this squad. Up next, we have the Mavericks versus Grizzlies. Very hype matchup. You have Ja Morant versus Luka, the 3 seed Grizzlies versus the 6 seed Mavericks. Anyone could really win. Luka all season was a little disappointing. He was dealing with a foot injury, and really the chemistry of this team was not too well kept. Sean Taylor, he hasn't been amazing all year, but he has been solid. And right there, a 4-point play opportunity, and he makes the free throw. What a shot. I will say that Sean Taylor is definitely the type of guy to get hyped up. And Luka, the lob. And now we're going to Game 7. The Mavericks ended up winning that game to push it to Game 7 after being down 3-2. 49-win team Grizzlies versus the 45-win team Mavericks. It's going to be tough. They're playing in Memphis. If you're Luka, you have to ball out. Luka has not been putting up superhuman numbers all series and all season. Ja Morant is going to be guarding you a decent amount of the game. Can you handle that on offense? You have to be guarding him a decent amount of the time. They're going to try to switch you on, and immediately Ja Morant dunks over the entire team. There's 3 men around him. And another lob, Ja Morant, a windmill. Jaren Jackson Jr. over Luka's arm. And Desmond Bane, look at that swish, beautiful over Luka. The Memphis Grizzlies are attacking Luka early on. They are trying to tire him out. They have to force him to play defense to try to tire him out on offense. Sean Taylor misses. Jaren Jackson Jr., who some say his depoy race in years prior were a little rigged. But look at that. Great defense. Throws it to Jaren Jackson. Kind of intercepts the alley-oop to Ja. Gives it to Ja. And Ja dunks over Sean Taylor and Spencer Dinwiddie. And he's fired up afterwards. And look at that. What is he doing? Ja Morant gave that guy a map. Just completely destroys his ankles. And in the clutch, what depoy race is rigged? What is overrated? JJJ ends the series in Game 7 on that block, and they end up winning 125-119. Memphis is moving on. Almost got upset by the 6 seed, but the 3 seed Grizzlies will not get upset like last year. They are moving on, and Ja Morant will head to the locker room. While being the player of the game, Ja Morant showed up last year winning MVP, this year not having as good as a season, but all that matters is winning, and they won. Next up, we have the Knicks, and they have not won a playoff series since 2013, and I don't know if it's gonna end, because they are playing the Miami Heat 65-win team, going up against a 37-win team. Hey man, put all your money on Miami this series because there is no way they lose. Kevin Durant starts the season off hot. They went around 21-3 to start the year. They slowed down a little bit when Kevin Durant missed some time. And Jimmy Butler also missed some time due to management issues because they are getting up there in age a little bit. But with people like Tyler Hero is able to carry the load on offense whenever they're out, it's able for them to take some breaks. Jimmy Butler, great hustle play, gets hyped up. Eric Spoelstra looking on, proud. And look at D Wade. He used to play with Jimmy Butler back in 2017. Used to mentor him, and at the buzzer, 3. And man, Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks are not looking good in Miami. It's looking rough. They try to get some momentum with Obi Toppin lobs, try to get the crowd a little silence, get the New York fans up on their feet. Christian Green attacks the rim, but man, he was not getting a lot of those buckets in this series. A very tough defensive group. They definitely focus in on Christian Green because all season long he was averaging 20 points a game, and he was the focal point. In Game 4, this was just a silencer game. Jimmy Butler went off this entire game. He was dominant. Yeah, KD just misses that dunk. But right back, bucket over Julius Randle, who didn't do much either in the series. Look at Jimmy Butler, intercept a pass from Randle and slams it down easy. This is what's so dangerous about the Heat. Such great defense and offense. And then you have guys like Jimmy Butler who could really take over any game, especially in the playoffs when he plays even better than he does in the regular season. and with someone like Kevin Durant, who also prides himself on playing better in the playoffs. Great playoff performers make them a tough team to beat in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler talking some trash to the sideline, and look at that, Olay! No one in the paint, letting him get a LeBron-looking dunk wide open. That was wraps for the series. The Knicks had no chance. They got dominated by this Miami Heat team all around in the entire series. Christian Green Jr. going home with no win to start his young career in the playoffs. Next, we have the Nuggets and Pelicans, two young teams with bright futures. The 4 and 5 seed going up against each other, really anyone can win. And look at the stat line from Jokic, 25, 11, and 9 on the season. Possible MVP numbers, but the team was not good enough. They are almost a 50-win team. And with guys like Christian Kelly, who can be an X factor off the bench and possibly get even better, and guys like Amari Bailey, who was a great pickup also in the draft in recent years. They got rid of guys like MPJ, who was asking to the media for the ball more, kind of getting a slight team cancer out of there, and they really focus on getting guys like Cam Johnson, who will play defense instead of just try to get the ball on offense. And when Cam Johnson does get the ball, he can score. He can also pass. He is kind of like a Draymond Green. And look at Christian Kelly size up over a big man. He does not tack the rim. He instead shoots the J. And Brandon Ingram bounces off over Murray. That's like shooting over a chair. Too easy. And Jokic, this entire series, was the center point of the offense for the Nuggets, like every other game. Zion was also the focal point, unstoppable. But this series was just not their series. Jokic was too impossible to guard for this Pelicans team. There was no real good matchup. While Zion is unstoppable, Cam Johnson was able to try to stop him and suppress the attack he had on offense. Cam Johnson is around 6'9", some say maybe even 6'10" on a good day, and he has great defensive IQ and great athleticism. So he was able to try to slow down Zion when he wasn't doing windmill 360 between the legs dunks in transition and on alley-oops, and when he's not talking trash. But Cam Johnson right here attacks the rim, tough and one. And you can't stop Zion, but you can only hope to slow him down. And right there, Amari Bailey, look at that alley-oop. Zion has to go home early due to the Nuggets' offensive skill set all around. And now we will hear on from Nikola Jokic on the series.
Great game for you tonight. Are nights like tonight even more enjoyable when you put up huge numbers individually?
I'm going to take a dab with it, to be honest. I mean, that's what we all play for the wins. Fans coming for the wins. And we came out and played really good basketball tonight, and hopefully we're going to continue.
Always such a team player. Back to you guys.
Thank you for that. Very appreciated. Now on to Nikola Jokic once again. Went off this series 25, 12, and 10 for the series on almost 60% shooting. Absolutely unstoppable. And really, this Nuggets team really could win the finals this year. Jokic is just unstoppable, and with the supporting pieces, they can go all the way. Now on to the Jazz and Rockets, a matchup we have seen many times, but never like this. James Harden returns to Houston, but not playing with them. He's playing against them, and he just goes off all series like many expected, especially in the first round. Harden never not shows up in this early of the playoffs. And with the Jazz, he has revitalized his career in the playoffs in the clutch situation. Look at that step back. Some may say it's a treble, but I just say it's a swish. Good alley-oop to Jameer Ware. They have been connecting their entire career. Whenever James Harden came to Utah, it was Jameer's rookie season, and that has been lights out ever since. A plus 14 win boost from last season to this season. It just shows that Jameer and James Harden, their rookie seasons on the Jazz, were just not as good as they could be. And now they are lights out. And the big addition is guys like Bobby Portis off the bench, but also Mikal Bridges. On defense, he was able to disrupt Izzy Ball a lot throughout the series. He made it tough for him to score. And the big difference from last year was when the Timberwolves tried to double Izzy, he could try to create space and create new offense with his passing. But in this series, the Jazz played Izzy more one-on-one, with Mikal Bridges being able to try to slow him down by himself, which he was able to do. It didn't help that the Rockets have some team drama, considering that Izzy wants a new contract, and with them only getting one win better while adding DeAndre Ayton last season, and that now this is his first full season on the team, that they don't even really get much better. Do they sign Izzy and continue to keep him when he's just creating some drama around the team? And when it mostly matters, in the playoffs, he doesn't show up that well. And it really seems that if you have a capable defensive scheme, you can try to slow him down, and it's possible. In the Rockets' mind, he's not as important to the system that they have to create a whole new scheme and their whole offense to try to get him looks. They think Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and DeAndre Ayton can really do it and hopefully get them to the promised land in years looking on into the future. Izzy again just gets disrupted by Mikal Bridges. Once again, look at that. He's flopping like James Harden back in the day. And speaking of James Harden, he gets the ball and right over Ayo, just drains a three in his grill. That's got to be tough. That's good defense, but better offense. Look at Izzy just taking a shot at him. Like Charles Barkley says, you got to try to send a message. You got to just whoop some ass. You got to lay some haymakers. But the Jazz were the ones whooping some ass. They were dominating the Rockets all series, and they won in 5, a gentleman's sweep. And James Harden's return to Houston, and he is getting the player of the game and series interview after. And Sports Illustrated, Jalen Green talking about this Rockets, and Jalen Green missed some games to start this series, so it's kind of interesting that he was talking about this. He was looking from the outside looking in, and big questions: where will Izzy go? Will he change teams, or is this more of a smokescreen and he will stay in Houston? Next up, we have the 2-seed Bucks versus the 7-seed Wizards. You got sophomore Paul Thompson making his rookie debut of the playoffs. And look at that early strip. And this will just be how the series goes. The Bucks were the better team, and the big story was Giannis. No one could guard Giannis. Not even Ben Simmons could try to slow him down. And with Chris Paul being able to facilitate, there was just no clue and no answer for this Bucks offense, and really just the Greek Freak in general. Giannis completely dominated Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons could not score, while Chris Paul was having his way with people like Bradley Beal. And Paul Thompson was mainly guarding guys like Chris Middleton, who wasn't really focusing on scoring himself. So if your best defender is trying to stop Chris Middleton, who really isn't doing much, and Giannis is the one dominating, you're not going to win a series unless you're the better team. And when you're the 7th seed, you're just simply not the better team. In 5, the Bucks win. A lucky win for the Wizards because of Paul Thompson and the rest of the team just clicking was not enough. Bucks easily win, and Giannis had a freakish series overall. Bucks celebrating on, and Paul Thompson's just disappointed. More of things to come for the Wizards. They are just a disappointment. 33-12 for Giannis in a 5-game series gentleman sweep. Unstoppable. Next, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus LeBron, Chet Holmgren versus AD, and Shai has been going off recently. Obviously, this is not too even of a matchup. 2nd seed Lakers, who were almost the 1st seed until the Jazz made a season run, Lakers were somewhat bad to end the season, but, you know, LeBron just coasts until the playoffs, and you do not want to see LeBron in the first round. He's only lost in the first round once in his career, and this was not one of them. Bronny was an X factor for this group, being able to score very quickly with his energy. Shai Gilgeous' tough shot didn't make many of those, but Bronny was just able to energize this group, who is mainly old heads with his young age, and AD getting the touchdown pass from LeBron, great IQ. William Wilson was trying to get his buckets, rarely came though, with AD being able to just stop everything on the floor from his defense. And look at LeBron just throwing it to himself off the backboard in a half-court setting. I mean, man, the bench is going crazy, and that is just completely disrespectful. And look at that, AD, I mean, look at, it was a foul, obviously, but look how much ground he just is able to clean up on the floor. Like, William Wilson cannot create enough space, and he tries to get this three-pointer to go. Once again, cannot create enough space. And with Chet down low, whenever AD really wanted to, he could just attack in the paint. AD was a top 3 MVP candidate. It is no surprise that Chet was having difficulty guarding him, and Shai was getting very frustrated. I mean, look at that play. Josh Giddey and William Wilson not on the same page, and LeBron doing his signature just fuck it 3, and he just buries it on the left side wing. William Wilson saying, my bad, I just can't guard the king. And once again, LeBron on the left side wing. LeBron showing his greatness. #1 scorer in NBA history. Most playoff games with 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists as well. 11 compared to 9 and 9 from the Greek Freak and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Next, we have our last series, the reigning NBA champion Cavaliers versus the Celtics. Jaylen Brown did not play in the first 2 games, and as you will see, Jason Tatum looked like he was not able to play. In Boston, we had a Game 7. The 4 seed Celtics actually had the home court over this reigning NBA champion squad, who has been disappointing, but you don't want to play him in the playoffs. With Donovan Mitchell obviously having that killer instinct from being in the finals, he knows what it takes. And look at Tatum. He gets hurts his ankle on who knows what. It seemed to be no contact injuries, so that's the worst type of injury to see. But Tatum did try to play through it, and he did not play well. He only scored 24 points on 9 of 25 shooting with 6 turnovers, and right there, they're able to pick up ground. They were able to stop Tatum with Evan Mobley, who's so tall and can pick up so much ground with his long length. He was able to stop him, and Tatum was not as athletic and quick to score, so it was just easy stopping, and the Cavaliers win as Donovan Mitchell dominates and Tatum limps off in a bad look for the Celtics. And now we see the playoffs of the second round. Nuggets versus Jazz, Lakers versus Grizzlies, and then the #1 seed 65-win team versus the reigning champs, and then the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis versus Kadon and LaMelo. Tough matchups to see. We will see it, of course, next episode. And you can just check some early mock drafts of next draft. JJ Shuttlesworth, CJ Simmons, and Nazir Cunningham leading the way. Rockets, Blazers, Pistons, some of the top picks, and Clippers, who might look on to move from Kawhi and PG-13. Andrew Gretsch, OJ Tremblay leading the way in more of the late lottery pick selection. Jake Bean, the PJ Tucker, a little more potential late first rounder. And Martin Novak, the tall Dirk Nowitzki compared great value version, low second, hoping to get his value up before the NBA draft. And guys, that will do it. That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. You can technically make a guy for the NBA draft, but probably not. This is a time for heart to heart real quick for the boys. After next regular season, I will probably be ending after the next season, like playoffs and all that, I will most likely be ending the series. So no real rookies will be made for next year. So this will be the last season, or next season will be the last full season. But yeah, still a long way to go until that happens, and peace.